Coucou.
Bonjour et bienvenue sur la chaîne Data qui est
Chouette.
Une chaîne dédiée à la présentation de services data. Et aujourd'hui, je suis en compagnie de Christopher que vous connaissez déjà. Et on a en invité Devang de la 4 Team. Est-ce que Devang, tu peux t'introduire? Alors, on a une particularité sur cette session, c'est que Devang, bien qu'habitant à Paris, est plus à l'aise avec l'anglais. Donc on va peut-être switcher au bout d'un moment. Mais Devang, je te laisse te présenter dans la langue que tu préfères.
Oui, je vais commencer avec mon introduction en français et pour expliquer Real-Time Intelligence, je vais switcher en anglais si tu es bon. Donc, je m'appelle Devang, je travaille chez Microsoft dans la capacité de Principal Program Manager dans l'équipe de Fabric Engineering. Dans mon rôle, c'est comme un pont entre les développeurs et feature managers et la communauté, les clients, les utilisateurs et les partenaires. Donc, je travaille avec beaucoup de clients et beaucoup de partenaires en Europe, Middle East et Afrique. Et je suis très heureux ici pour expliquer toutes les annonces chez Build avec Real-Time Intelligence.
Donc vous l'aurez compris, la session d'aujourd'hui est autour de Microsoft Fabric Real-Time Intelligence. Est-ce que tu peux nous en dire un peu plus sur les différentes annonces qui ont eu lieu à la build?
Alors, si vous avez suivi un petit peu la build, il y a eu énormément d'annonces sur tout un tas de sujets. Bien évidemment, il y a eu beaucoup d'annonces autour de Microsoft Fabric. Si vous suiviez notre actualité, vous aviez peut-être senti que build allait être un temps fort pour Microsoft Fabric. Et peut-être que la star de l'événement, ça a été effectivement Real-Time Intelligence. Alors, la première nouveauté, c'est peut-être un petit peu cosmétique, mais vous allez voir que ça va avoir du sens dans la liste des nouveautés, c'est un changement de nom. On est passé de cette brique qu'on appelait Real-Time Analytics à Real-Time Intelligence. Et à l'intérieur de cette brique, on a fait un certain nombre de changements et de nouveautés sur à peu près tous les aspects d'une plateforme temps réel. Donc que ce soit sur l'ingestion et la manipulation d'événements, que ce soit sur la transformation d'événements ou que ce soit sur la visualisation et la réponse aux différents événements. Alors c'est vrai que si on se projetait dans un monde pré-Microsoft Fabric, développer une solution d'analytics temps réel, ça pouvait vite représenter quelque chose d'assez complexe en termes de nombre de briques qu'il fallait utiliser. Là, vous avez un exemple d'architecture sur Azure que l'on pouvait retrouver relativement classiquement avec de l'IoT Hub pour ingérer des données depuis des devices IoT, tout un tas de bases de données et de services différents pour manipuler et stocker la donnée. Et puis après, pour la présentation de la donnée, là aussi, on avait tout un tas de types d'applicatifs qui pourraient être utilisés. Ça fait un moment pour celles et ceux d'entre vous qui font du Power BI, que l'on pouvait faire se connecter en fait via Power BI à des événements et afficher un petit peu de données, mais voilà, on avait une architecture qui pouvait être assez compliquée. Et à côté de ça, là ici, vous êtes sur un schéma d'architecture qui est très Azure. Je pense que Romain, tu as déjà vécu ça, essayer de
J'en ai
monter
fait de
des
ce
archis de ce
type
type.
d'architecture et ça prenait quelques temps entre le Kafka, entre le Storm et alors finalement le Stream Analytics, il a quand même simplifié
Mm.
pas mal de choses, mais ça restait de l'infrastructure. On va voir que Microsoft Fabric là nous sassifie un peu de cette solution et nous simplifie finalement la création d'une architecture de bout en bout pour l'analyse de données en temps réel.
Oui, tout à fait. Alors, ce genre d'architecture, elle était mise en place souvent par des gens, des organismes qui avaient un besoin temps réel qui était évident. Mais si vous n'avez pas senti ce besoin de temps réel, ça pouvait vous faire peur de voir voilà, la complexité de cette infrastructure-là. Il y a autre chose qui peut complexifier la mise en place d'infrastructures d'analytics en temps réel, c'est tout simplement la fragmentation du marché. Alors, si vous vous rappelez les premières présentations de Microsoft Fabric que l'on a fait il y a plus d'un an maintenant, c'est ce qu'on disait. On disait le marché de l'analytics est fragmenté, il y a plein de solutions, il y a plein de briques. C'est à vous utilisateurs, clients, développeurs, data engineers, à trouver les bonnes briques qui correspondent à vos cas d'usage, à s'assurer qu'elles fonctionnent les unes avec les autres, à maintenir tout ça, à mettre tout ça en opération et à maintenir sur le long terme, eh bien, le marché du temps réel est aussi fragmenté que le marché de la data, j'ai envie de dire. On voit ici plein de composants sur les différentes parties du cycle de vie d'une donnée temps réel. On voit aussi des composants qui peuvent être open source, des composants qui peuvent être managés, hébergés pour vous. Et ça aussi, ça représentait une complexité assez importante. Mais ces derniers temps, on a un certain nombre d'outils. Je vais citer par exemple Devesium, dont on va peut-être reparler un petit peu plus tard, qui vous permettent, même si vous n'avez pas un cas d'usage évident de temps réel, eh bien de commencer à faire du temps réel. Pourquoi? Parce que à peu près tous les applicatifs ont une base de données et que aujourd'hui on a des outils qui nous permettent en fait que quand en tant que développeur je vais tout simplement modifier ou créer une nouvelle ligne dans une table d'une base de données relationnelle, générer un événement et ainsi pouvoir être beaucoup plus proactif sur la réponse à cet événement sans forcément avoir des devices IoT ou un système de bus d'événements temps réel d'entreprise. Donc finalement, le temps réel, même s'il est fragmenté, on commence à avoir des outils et des applications qui peuvent s'ouvrir à toutes et à tous. Et donc, on a beaucoup plus d'intérêt d'avoir une nouvelle solution, une solution simplifiée pour bénéficier en fait du temps réel. Et c'est ce que l'on souhaite proposer avec Real-Time Intelligence, où en fait on suit la philosophie qu'on a depuis le début d'un Microsoft Fabric, c'est-à-dire partir de plein de composants fragmentés. Rappelez-vous le premier schéma d'architecture que je vous ai montré, et tout simplement partir vers une solution unifiée en mode SaaS, donc beaucoup plus simple à déployer et à maintenir pour gérer les événements temps réel, avec des outils d'analytique qui sont beaucoup plus simples, beaucoup plus accessibles. On va peut-être le voir avec Devang dans une démo, avec de l'ingestion qui se fait en temps réel. Là aussi, souvent, il peut y avoir un fossé dans les entreprises avec du temps réel qui a été stocké sur un data lake et puis ensuite un processus qui vient toutes les heures, tous les jours, aller chercher ces données temps réel mais qui ne le sont plus. Avec là aussi, en termes d'unification, une unification au niveau de l'entreprise. Il y a plein de sources de données temps réel dans l'organisation. Comment on fait pour découvrir les sources de données qui existent déjà, explorer les données que l'on a déjà. C'est des problématiques que l'on a en tant, par exemple, que data analyst. Quand on va construire un nouveau rapport, quelles sont les données qui sont déjà accessibles, déjà certifiées, déjà transformées dans l'entreprise. Eh bien, on va voir comment on peut faire ça. Et puis, le real-time intelligence, le changement de mot à la fin, intelligence, c'est pas juste du cosmétique, c'est comment on va utiliser l'AI dans tout notre cycle de travail en fait de la donnée temps réel pour nous aider via des copilotes à accélérer le requêtage d'utilisation de ces données ou la détection de données sur lesquelles il va falloir agir.
Super, merci Christopher. Du coup, on se retrouve dans Microsoft Fabric avec cette fameuse Real-Time Intelligence qui se découpe en plusieurs objets dans Microsoft Fabric avec l'Event Ingestion pour recevoir les différents événements, la sauvegarde de ces données dans une base de données Eventhouse, la partie AI, on en a parlé, mais on a aussi la partie Event Driven Action avec ces fameuses actions qu'on va pouvoir, en fonction de certains triggers issus de event Microsoft Fabric ou à l'externe, comme par exemple un Azure Blob Storage, créer des alertes et pourquoi pas aussi analyser les données en temps réel dans des dashboards. Donc on va voir tout ça. Devang, je te laisse peut-être la main pour nous faire quelques démos.
So let's talk about real-time intelligence. In real-time intelligence, we have introduced these 6 features, which starts from event ingestion, that is to ingest data from a variety of different sources. Then you have Eventhouse with real-time analytics to analyze that data in near real time. You also have powered with AI, so you can use CoPilot capabilities to write your queries and get answers from the data. We have also introduced real-time dashboards, which allows you to visualize your real-time data on dashboards and interact with that data. We've also included the data activator capabilities, which were available in Fabric as real-time triggers in real-time intelligence. So you can also start generating alerts and triggers on that data. And last but not the least is event-driven actions. Basically, you can have events generated from your storage accounts or your ADLS accounts or from Fabric itself. And then you can use those events to build alerts, actions, or also trigger pipelines and notebooks and make Fabric a completely event-driven platform. So we are going to go into the demo of each and every feature so that you have an idea of how those features work. But before we go into the demo, let me tell you what have we done. So we've taken some of the proven Azure capabilities like Azure Event Hubs, Event Grid, Stream Analytics, and Data Explorer, combine that with some of the Fabric capabilities of OneLake, Data Activator, and Power BI, and we've built a very intuitive, integrated, easy-to-use experience for you to build your own real-time intelligence applications or real-time intelligence dashboards or real-time intelligence experiences for your end users, business users, as well as your data professionals. So this is the underlying technologies that have come together to build real-time intelligence. Now, in order to give you a perspective, these technologies are today serving about 8 exabytes of events and logs per month. So in terms of scale, performance, and capability, these technologies have proven themselves. They have been used by Microsoft for a long, long time, nearly 10 years. And these technologies are being packaged, refactored, resized, and are being offered as a SaaS capabilities in Microsoft Fabric. So you can trust these technologies to be able to scale to the performance and the data size requirements that you may have. Now, how do we see real-time intelligence? So you can have data coming from a variety of different sources, whether it's Confluent Kafka, whether it's Google PubSub, AWS Kinesis, or you can have CDC streams from your SQL database, Cosmos DB, or even your IoT hubs and event hubs that you may already have in your environment. You can bring all that data into Real-Time Hub. Real-Time Hub is where your real-time intelligence begins. This is where you discover all your sources. And once you have found your sources, you can start processing those data sources or event streams. You can analyze them. You can extract meaningful insights. You can also build some dashboards in order to monitor what's happening in your landscape and then start building actions and alerts. On top of that, we have included CoPilot experiences and also some anomaly detection capabilities in real-time intelligence, so you can start using AI to your advantage. So this is, in nutshell or in a bigger picture, how real-time intelligence comes together in terms of all the new features and capabilities.
All those new objects are Fabric artifacts, so required capacity in order to work on a specific workspace, right?
Indeed, they are all part of Fabric capacity. They are all part of Fabric workspace. When you go to the real-time intelligence experience in Fabric, you will be able to see these items and you can create those items. So you will need, of course, capacity in order to start using these items. We have also published on the documents the estimation model, so how much capacity each item uses. So you can use that for planning your capacity and before you start deploying these items.
Right.
Okay. So let's go into the first set of demos. So how do you ingest and analyze all this data that you are going to get in real time from different sources? So let's begin with event ingestion. How do we ingest data? So what you're seeing on the screen is Real-Time Hub. This is where you discover all the streams of data that you are bringing into Fabric. You have data streams coming from various people who are part of your team across different workspaces to which you have access. You can also filter all this data and also understand what's happening. Now, if you want to bring some new data, you can click on Get Events, and you will discover this page where you see a variety of different sources. We are going to bring data from Confluent Kafka. So you put a connection string, connect to the Confluent Kafka cluster. And when you give it a name, we are going to give point of sales, click next. It will establish a connection with your Confluent Kafka cluster. And then you can start working on this data. When you click on Open Eventstream, it will give you a canvas on which you can start doing all kinds of interesting transformations on your data. So here you can see we have connected to Confluent Cloud Cluster, and we are now going to start building all kinds of interesting applications. Now here, as you can see, you have a variety of different operations that you can do on your data, but you can also directly push this data into a KQL database, which is part of your Eventhouse. So here we are going to push this point of sale stream into a KQL database. Once you click Save, the data starts flowing into KQL database. This is just to give you an example, all kinds of different transformations you can do on your streaming data as it is flowing through, and you can then push that data into a different database. But not only that, you can also create streams. If you don't know the destination, you can create streams of data which can then be used by your different users in a destination of their choice. So this is what you can do with Eventstream in terms of capabilities. Basically, ingest data from a variety of different sources. use this canvas to transform your data, and then either put it as a destination in KQL database, or you can just publish them as streams so that the business users can decide how they want to land that data and how they want to consume that data. So that's the first demo. Now let's go into the next one. How do you analyze this data? So once you have decided to land this data in a KQL database, you can go to KQL database. This is your Eventhouse overview page. Here you can see the size of your data, what is happening on your database, how much storage it is consuming, who's acting on this data, who's running queries, etc. So you have like an overview of what happens in your Eventhouse. Now, once you have this Eventhouse and you have multiple databases here, as you can see, operations and sales order. So this is all the databases that you can work with in an Eventhouse. Now, just to give you a perspective, Eventhouse is a collection of KQL databases. So it's nothing different. It's the same capability, but now being offered as a collection. Now we are in a KQL database. As you can see, you can have a variety of different tables, and we are going to query we are first going to bring some data from one lake. So when you click on Get Data, you can click on New Table, give it a name. And once you have done that, you can connect it to one of your one lake file. And here we have ingested some customer data, which is reference data, into an Eventhouse, into a KQL table. So here you can see this. You also have an idea of the size, but KQL database can handle much large volumes. So you can see some terabytes of data that can be ingested and kept in KQL database. Now let's start beginning querying this data. So we have some UI-driven experiences to look at the first 100 records. So here you can see some sales order IDs and customer order IDs of the data that we have been ingesting. You can also do a count. So here we have about 11,000 records. You can save these queries as a query set, which is like a notebook experience to write your KQL queries in order to explore your data, understand your data, and build some interesting insights or extract some interesting insights from your data. So this is basically bringing data from your event streams, landing into an Eventhouse, into multiple different KQL tables, and creating a notebook experience in order to explore and understand your data. So now, if you don't know how to write the Coucou query language, Coucou query language has been used in log analytics or in many different Azure-based services. But for example, if you don't know how to write the KQL language, or if your business users just want to interact with the data, we've also included CoPilot experience in this real-time intelligence capability. So you just click on CoPilot. It will open up a nice little window on the side, and you'll be able to ask a natural language question on this particular data in order to understand what's happening with your data.
Since we don't know all how to write at first KQL, and here I'm saying that it not only give you the result, but also the KQL code. So in order to perhaps to learn to write it yourself after.
Indeed, that's a very good point, Roma. We are not only executing the query for you automatically, but we believe it's a CoPilot, so you should be able to see if the query is correct, if it looks correct, and if it's going to generate the results that you expect. And this is also a way for you to learn, how does a KQL query language work. So here, as you can see, we wrote the first query in order to just do some count of sales, across each day in the last few days. But here now we can also write some more complex queries. You can ask a question where you want to analyze the data by sub-region over the last few days, and also put some conditions in terms of you're only interested in it if the sales quantity was above 20. So this is the kind of questions you can start asking CoPilot. It will generate the queries, and you can start visualizing this data. You can also start understanding the data.
I also tried CoPilot in French for KQL, and it's working pretty well.
Ah, beautiful. That's great, Roma. Would love to see your demo one day.
Will be planned that. Yeah.
Yes. So now that you have seen how you can explore the data, the next question will be, what can you do? How can you then start visualizing this data? So this is where we've introduced real-time dashboard capability. So let's look at that. You have run the query that we previously saw. You can simply click on Pin to Dashboard and create a new dashboard, which will show the data that you have already started visualizing. So here we enter a tile name, and once you click on Create, it will open up a dashboard. Now, we already have an existing dashboard where we've put a lot of different capabilities and a lot of different data. So here you can see you can have different types of visuals. You can have a time chart. You can have a bar chart, column chart, but you can also understand the query which is behind each visual. Here you can go to do two different modes, view mode and edit mode. So if you want to edit your dashboard, you switch to edit mode. We've also included the capability of exploring visually your charts. So here, for example, while you have the CoPilot experience, you can also build visually your queries. So you can choose the different types of operators, columns, and it will start generating KQL for you. So you're not only limited by what CoPilot can do, but you can also have this visual capabilities of generating KQLs or visuals just by dragging and dropping different features and different columns and different operators that are available in KQL. So this is what you can do with real-time dashboards in Fabric. Now, we have looked at, we ingested data, we analyzed data, we used some CoPilot in order to query the data. We've now visualized the data as well in real-time dashboard. Now, you don't want to sit and watch the dashboard and see if something happens. You want to have some triggers on the dashboard so you can see if something goes wrong. You can get alerted by an email or by a Teams message. So let's see how you build those triggers from the same experience. So you were on the real-time dashboard. This is where you can see all the different values that were being shown. On the same particular dashboard, you also have the button in order to create alert. So you just choose set alert here. And based on that, it will give you a little window in which you can then start defining your condition. So here, as in how each event arrives, you want to see if the average cost is greater than a certain value. In this case, we are going to choose 3,200. And then I want to get a Teams message whenever the cost exceeds 3,200. So this is how I can set up a very simple way, alert from the same dashboard and the visual experience that we have created. Now, when we open the Reflex item, so this is where we have created Reflex, you get a much more richer canvas in order to then start building all kind of different models, all kind of different capabilities. You can choose whether you want to send an email or a Teams message, or you want to trigger a workflow. It also integrates with Power Automate, so you can also trigger some Power Automate workflows from the same experience. Here, you can then start modifying your conditions. You can make it even more interesting. For example, you don't want to get alerted every single time the cost exceeds 3,200. You want to only get alerted if it stays for 10 minutes above 3,200. So you can also build all these kind of interesting complex triggers on the same data in case, so that you have much more interesting insights and actions as in how your data is continuously arriving from your source into real-time intelligence. So now that, yes.
Sorry, and as you can see, there is like no code involved in all of this. Like a business user can go ahead and create them. Like it's almost no code.
That's a very, very good point, Christopher. One real purpose of why we have built real-time intelligence is we really want to make real-time or dealing or handling streaming data or event data or time-sensitive data much easier for non-technical users or business users. Because traditionally, with all the complexities that Christoph explained in terms of all the different fragmented architectures that you have to build, non-technical users or business users have stayed away from dealing with real-time data. And this is exactly what we want to change by building these UX-driven experiences, low-code, no-code experiences, visual drag and drop, CoPilot. We want to make it very, very easy for business users to work with real-time data. So yes, that's the goal of building what we have built so far. And then now let's look at one last capability, which is very, very interesting for a lot of users who are already using Fabric and are wondering, how can I make Fabric even more event-driven? So now when you go to Real-Time Hub, you see there are data streams, which we already discovered, but there is a third tab, which is called as Fabric Events. In Fabric Events, you find two types of sources. One is Azure Blob Storage Events. So imagine you have files. For example, you have JSON files or Parquet files landing in a blob storage event, and you want to trigger a certain workflow as in how the file arrives in blob storage event. Now, if you're from the Azure world, you may know there is Azure Event Grid capability, which has already allowed you to do that. we have put the same Azure Event Grid capability inside Fabric. So now you don't have to deploy that. Additionally, you can do that natively in Real-Time Hub. Now, in this case, we have looked at Fabric events. So a workspace, whenever you create an item, delete an item, or work with items, you have a variety of events that get created. So here we are going to look at every time someone creates an item in my workspace, I want to, for example, get alerted, or I want to trigger a certain workflow. So here I'm setting up this whole alert where an item kind is of a certain kind. So here, as you can see, I can send an email, or I can send a Teams message, or I can trigger a Fabric item. This is a new option we've included in real-time intelligence. So if you have, for example, some kind of a pipeline, here we have a sales pipeline. So as soon as a new item is created in your Fabric workspace, a sales pipeline will get triggered, and it will execute the activities that you have defined in the sales pipeline. So here, what you've been able to do is, based on the events that might occur in Fabric or in Azure Storage, you will have other Fabric items like notebooks, pipelines, etc., that can get triggered. So you can build very interesting event-driven workflows in Fabric. This, I believe, is a very game-changing capability we've introduced in Real-Time Hub, which makes not only working with real-time intelligence type of experiences, but also having more native integrations with pipelines, notebooks, and other Fabric experiences as well. So this we believe is going to help a lot of customers make, in terms of monitoring Fabric, in terms of what's happening in your environment, what's happening in OneLake, what's happening in storage account, and then how to build those end-to-end integrated experiences. So this was my last demo to give you an idea of what we have built in real-time intelligence. So all those different capabilities, right from event ingestion, analytics, CoPilot real-time AI, you can visualize the data with the real-time dashboards. You can set up complex alerts using data activator capability, again, natively built into real-time intelligence. And last but not the least, event-driven actions. So all the events that can occur in Fabric will be available as a source in Real-Time Hub, and then you can start building interesting applications on top of it. So we are very, very excited about launching this new set of features and capabilities that built 2 weeks ago. We saw a lot of excitement, and we hope and we believe that you will also be excited. There are tutorials available for you to try this capabilities by yourself. So go to our docs pages, you will find a tutorial, and you can start working with real-time intelligence.
All those artifacts are right now in preview, right?
And that's a great question. So Real-Time Hub is in preview, but Eventstream is already a GA service because we launched Eventstream last year in preview in May 2023 and GA in November 2023. Eventhouse is also GA. CoPilot is in preview. Real-Time Dashboard is in preview. Real-Time Triggers are in preview, and event-driven actions are GA. So it's a combination of some GA services and some preview services, but I think it should not stop you from building some interesting applications using real-time intelligence.
And what is the roadmap? So if you can share a little bit of what's next, what is coming on the real-time intelligence?
What is coming next is what we call it as a sneak peek. We call it as detecting unknown unknowns. So what we are also doing is, especially in real-time space, where you have events coming from your IoT devices or events coming from cars or vehicles or trucks, or even when you have planes flying around or baggages going around at the airport, you can have anomalies in your data. Something goes missing, or something is not expected, something is not performing as expected. So a lot of customers and a lot of organizations build their own anomaly detection algorithms in order to detect those unknown unknowns. What we are doing, and this is a capability called Sneak Peek, we are working on this right now. We are going to make anomaly detection natively available in Fabric, in real-time intelligence, that it will start looking at your data as your data is flowing. So you don't need to build your real-time anomaly detection algorithm and deploy it, etc. We will use anomaly detection algorithm automatically on your data and start making recommendations to you saying, hey, we detected some anomalies in your data. Do you want to look at that? And then if you think our AI is detecting the right anomalies, then you can deploy that as a trigger, and it will continuously monitor your data and then start giving you very interesting anomalies and insights. And we are very excited about going further and further in making this whole working with real-time data, detecting anomalies, visualizing data very, very easy. So this is something we are very excited.
So thank you very much. I will also share the roadmap in the video description. something I really like in the portal, no, in Microsoft Fabric portal, is the fact that we used to have the one-leg data hub for data at rest. Now we have this real-time hub for the data in motion. So it's very well included in the portal in order to see your different kind of data and do some analysis on top of it.
Indeed.
So thank you very much for this session. Christopher, you want to add something?
C'est juste à suivre bien évidemment la chaîne Data Chouette pour de futures vidéos et n'oubliez pas également à suivre le update blog sur community.fabric.microsoft.com pour être au courant des futures nouveautés sur Real-Time Intelligence.
Super, merci beaucoup. À bientôt.
Merci.
À
Ciao.
bientôt.